If you told me that after topping out at 285 pounds, that I would be able to lose over 85 pounds within a year, that I would reverse my diabetes, that I would completely transform my life, I wouldn't have believed you, or I definitely would have some doubt. But this journey isn't just about reversing diabetes, and it's not just about a year of transformation. It's actually 25 years in the making. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, new year, new you. I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to put their diabetes in remission, get off of medication. In fact, for those who want to reverse their diabetes, that's what we're doing. And right now, I am in the beginning parts of a 72-hour fast like we do here on the show. So glad that you're here with us. If you're new, go ahead and put new in the comments because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And if you do have questions as we go throughout the evening, go ahead and put those in the comments in the chat as well. Put a Q in front of it because I'd love to welcome you and answer those questions as we go into the evening. And you guys know, as we do the way we do, I've got my monitors here that we're going to be taking a look at. I've got my meters, and let me pop over. I've got that right here over the side. So I've got that right here. We're going to be taking a look at that in just a minute. And right below, that's right, that is that's my report. That is my Dexcom Clarity report that we'll take a look at here in just a minute. I do want to say hello to some of our community members that I see out there. I see Teresa. Hey, Teresa, thanks for coming through. She said congratulations. She said hello, Dr. Woode. Big congratulations. Thank you for that as well. And if you are on Instagram or LinkedIn or any of the social media platforms, we are welcoming you here tonight. Glad that you took some time to hang out with us. So as you know, we do a 72-hour fast once a week, and I am, let's see, how many hours now? 21 maybe hours into this week's fast. So we'll take a look at my numbers in just a minute. As you know, this is an interesting week because we've got a holiday coming up over the next weekend, and this is our beach trip, y'all. So we enjoy that time. So we'll talk a little bit about what that's going to look like as we move into the rest of the week and into the check-ins for the rest of this week as well. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at well, let's do our check-in. Let's go through our check-in. And I always do a check-in because there are three areas that I like to talk about. And these are the places where people tend to have difficulty. So let's back up a little bit and let's talk about what we're doing, right? So new year, new you. The goal is reversing diabetes. That is our thrust. That has been the catalyst for all that we've been doing. The shows that we've done over the course of the year, the tools that we've been doing, the community meetups, and all the conversations that we've been having is with the intention of setting you up for success for reversing diabetes. Got it? Yes. Okay. And so one of the major tools that we've been using is the tool of fasting. And so at the beginning of the year, we threw out a challenge to say, hey, we want everyone in the community to begin working their way up to be able to fast for one 24-hour period once a week. That was the goal. One 24-hour period once a week. And as you know, we've kind of expanded that, and we've got community members now that are fasting for 36 hours, 48 hours. And of course, here on the show, we've been doing a 72-hour fast once a week. In fact, there was a week where we went to 96 hours, and another week we went to 102 hours. But really just kind of walking through the process of fasting, because the pillars of reversing diabetes are three. Number one, decrease insulin. Number two, suppress the appetite. And number three, reduce sugar. And we've been in the process for this week, the last couple of weeks actually, of doing pillar number three. If you've not done so, go ahead and make sure you watch this last show that we did on reversing diabetes part 3, right? That's what we did. Actually said part 2 there, but actually it was part 3 that we did this past week. And we're moving into further conversations as we go into the rest of the season, into the rest of the year. But here on a nightly basis, we fast on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So Tuesday to Wednesday, Wednesday to Thursday, Thursday to Friday. And so here, what I want to do is we talk about the benefits, we talk about the challenges that we may have, we talk about how to fast successfully. And tonight, I want to share with you a little bit of the backstory that is the catalyst for all that we've been doing. Okay? So that's the backstory, fasting. And now that we're doing fasting, I'm going to do a check-in so let you know where I am. And so, like I said, 21 hours maybe, I should say maybe 21 hours into the fast. And the three things that I want to talk about is how I'm doing physically, mentally, and emotionally. Because fasting is not just about abstaining from food. It is a physical thing, it is an emotional thing, and it is a mental thing as well. Okay, so we want to make sure that we are touching all of those. So how am I feeling physically? And physically, when we talk about fasting, the big thing that most people talk about is how they're feeling in terms of energy, how they're feeling in terms of fatigue, right? So those are the big ones. And then, of course, other things like lightheadedness, sweaty, dizzy, palpitations, those all come as part of that. And often it occurs, or people think about it, because they're thinking about what happens to their blood sugars as they're moving into that space. As we said, we're talking to adults with type 2 diabetes, but the things that we do for adults with type 2 diabetes also fits for all of the metabolic diseases. Remember, diabetes is the prototypic metabolic disease, and if we can do some things that help diabetes, that trickles down and can be extrapolated into some of the other things like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and on and on and on. Okay, so physically, how am I feeling? Right now, I'm actually feeling pretty good. I'm feeling full of energy. I've done a good job over the last several days of sleeping. Right? I've been getting to bed, and I've been getting up a little later than normal. So energy-wise, feeling pretty good, feeling energetic. I'm not feeling lightheaded or dizzy. I've been doing a good job of hydrating. That's the other thing that sometimes can be that show up in the course of the physical, how people are feeling. But this week, feeling pretty good. How am I feeling mentally? I'm feeling pretty clear. I'm feeling sharp. I'm not feeling foggy or dull. I don't have any difficulty in terms of, if you remember last week, I was having a little difficulty as I was getting back into the week. A little bit of concentration. Was feeling a lot more fatigued because we had been away on a camping trip and just kind of getting back into the swing of things. This week, actually doing fairly well and not feeling any of those symptoms. Okay, and then emotionally, actually, I'm excited. I am pumped. I am happy. And I'm all those things. One, because we've got a holiday coming up, right? So this is our annual family trip that we do. So I'm excited about that. But I'm also excited because I am about to talk to you all about the journey, part of my journey. Okay, and I've been kind of thinking through this process. I've written out some stuff, so you'll see me looking at some things. I wanted to make sure that I wrote those down so that I can share that information with you as I move through this process. Okay, so but right now feeling physically good, mentally clear, feeling sharp, and then emotionally just very excited to be in this space with you. All right, so let's hop over and let's take a look at what my blood sugars are doing. And we'll take a look at my meter. If I can get over to that here in just a second. And you'll see on the screen, so that is my Libre. And my Libre right now says that my blood sugar is 92. If I go over to, okay, I thought I had the Dexcom. There we go. If I go over my Dexcom, let's see what it says. It'll come up there in just a minute. So continue to the app. Okay, because it was closed, it'll take a minute to pop up, but we'll see that populate. But in the meantime, let's hop over and let's take a look at what my finger sticks are going to be. So here's my Keto Mojo. My Keto Mojo will give me both a glucose and a ketone, and then my contour, of course, will give me glucose. So let's go ahead and let's get a strip for the contour. Get this one off of the screen and get that in there. And then for the Keto Mojo, as I always do, I'm going to start with the glucose, and then we'll come back and do the ketone. So let's get the ketone strip off. We're going to open up this guy. So this is the glucose strip for the Keto Mojo. Go ahead and pop that in. And then grab our little basket that has our Lancets. And I'm going to grab 2 of them because, as you know, sometimes I have to do a second stick. And let's see. Let me do one thing because my camera that's over here for some reason was not showing, so I'm gonna need to change my scene, but that's okay. We'll do that. Let's grab. Yeah, we're gonna grab this and it'll show me in both, but that's okay. All right, so what we're going to do, actually, let's pop back over here for just a minute. So what I'm going to do is just basically open this. And so this one is a single use, right? So you pop this off. Actually, you turn it off, and that comes off, and it's spring-loaded. So when I click on that, it'll pop the Lancet out, and then it'll poke my finger. So let me change over to this scene so you can actually see, and you'll hear. So I'm going to choose this finger. And let's pop that up. Hopefully you hear that well. Okay, so that should have given you a good sound. And then back over here, let's make sure we got a good, there we go. See, I got a good drop of blood. So we'll start with the Keto Mojo. And then over to the contour. So let's see, so Keto Mojo says 112. And let me move that down a little bit so you can see that a little better. And then 96 for the contour. And then, of course, let me do this before this blood dries. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the ketone strip and get that in. So what do you think my ketones would be? All right, so what do you think the ketones are going to be after 21 or so hours of fasting? Let's go ahead and get that started. And of course, I'm going to tease you like I normally do because I'm not going to show you the result yet. But if you think you know, go ahead and pop those in the comments because I'd love to hear what you think. Okay? All right. And of course, I saw it, so I know what it is. But I want you to go ahead and guess. I'm going to take it off the screen because if I go over to that scene, then sometimes it'll get there. Okay. All right, so I'm talking about this journey. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So as you heard me say, if you told me that after topping 285 pounds, 285 pounds, that I would be able to lose 85 pounds to reverse my diabetes and set myself up for metabolic success, even as the endocrinologist, even as the hormone guy, even as the guy whose job it is to help people with their metabolic disease. I'll tell you, it would have been a hard thought. Listen to me. It would have been a hard thought. Because there is so much that goes into managing diabetes. There's so much that goes into metabolic disease. There's so much that goes into reversing diabetes, as you guys have heard me talk about. So this journey, as we've been talking about here, it's a year process. New year, new you. You saw my blood sugars, or you saw my weight, right? 52 pounds over 2023. right? 52 pounds, so a pound a week. But the journey is not just about a year. It's 25 years in the making. Now, I want you to take a moment, and I want you to think about a challenge that you've been facing for a long time. Maybe it's a health issue. Maybe it's a other personal struggle or something that's been weighing on you for years. What if I told you that within a year, you have the power to completely change that part of your life? That you have the potential, that you have unlimited ability. Would you believe me? 25 years ago, a little bit more than that actually, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I remember the exact moment that I heard the words. I had gone to my doctor, I had talked to him about my symptoms, and he had done some tests. I went back home, I was sleeping, y'all. And I remember my wife waking me up and saying, "Hey, Dwain, your doctor called, and he said that you have diabetes." The shock, the fear, the overwhelming sense of what now? But it wasn't just the diagnosis that was weighing on me. It was everything else that was surrounding it, right? And just like in life, there are all these things that are coming at us. And if one of them came, or if two of them came one at a time, we could probably manage that. But when they all come together, it seems so insurmountable. The stress from being in medical school. And not just the stress of being in medical school, this was my third career change, y'all. And I was only 30 years old. It felt like my life was in a constant flux, and I was always just shy of being successful, but I was always just shy of giving up. Can you relate to that? The feeling that life keeps throwing things at you, and all you can do is to try to stay afloat. Maybe you've been there. Maybe you've been there too. Let me take a moment. Let me tell you about one March several years ago. I went whitewater rafting. You may have heard this story. Now picture this. You're in a raft. The water is calm at first, but then it starts to get rough. The guide is shouting instructions, and suddenly the raft tips. You're thrown into the water, and I was thrown into the water, and instinctively I grabbed for the raft, thinking that it was my lifeline. And I held on for dear life. But what I quickly learned was because I was at the front of the raft, and the raft was moving faster than me, that it soon covered me. But here's the thing. What if the thing that you're holding on to, what if it's the very thing that is the thing that's actually causing the problem? What if the very thing you're clinging to for safety is actually what's pulling you under? That was me, under the water, clinging to the raft, trying to hold on for dear life, but the more I held on, the more I realized I couldn't breathe. I was under. Do you know what's under a raft in the water? There's not a lot of air. In fact, there's no air. And it hit me. How often do we hold on to things in our lives that we think are saving us when in reality they're dragging us down? I want you to take a moment to think. What are you holding on to that's no longer serving you? What are you clinging to out of fear, even though it's keeping you from moving forward? For me, it was unhealthy habits. It was denial. It was stress. It was inappropriate and buffering behavior. I thought they were keeping me afloat. I thought they were just, coping habits. But they were suffocating me. It wasn't until I was completely out of options It wasn't until I was completely out of options, completely out of breath, that I finally let go. And in that moment of letting go, something shifted. I didn't know what was going to happen next, but I knew I couldn't stay where I was. What about you? What would happen if you let go of the things that are holding you back? What could your life look like if you trusted yourself to move forward, even if you don't know exactly where the journey will take you? After that experience, I knew I needed to make a change. Really make a change. Not just on the surface, but deep down. And that's when I developed what I call the New Year, New You formula for reversing diabetes. This isn't just about diabetes. It's about transformation. It's about transforming your life. And it's about transforming my life. The first step was to decrease insulin. Insulin resistance, right, or hyperinsulinemia was at the heart, the core of diabetes. And I realized that the true value and to truly heal, I needed to address that head on. So I started making changes, really making changes. And you've heard the pillars. Making changes to my diet, incorporating fasting, and focusing on how my body responded. But let me ask you this. Where in your life are you ignoring the core issue? What would happen if you addressed it head on? But fear sometimes, denial, and the anxiety that comes from the unknown, it pushes us in a direction that doesn't allow us to stay at the fight. And so we circumvent it. We move away. We move beyond. We sidestep it instead of hitting it head on. Next, I had to learn to suppress my appetite. Not just physical hunger, but that emotional hunger. I had to confront the reasons I was eating. Not because I was hungry, but because I was stressed, I was bored, I was anxious, I was depressed. I was anxious for the future. I was worried about the present, and I was depressed about the past. So I started practicing mindful eating. I began asking myself before each meal, am I truly hungry, or am I feeding something else? Am I eating because of habits, because of emotions, because of access, because the food is right there, or because of taste? What are you feeding in your life? Are there habits you've developed to cope with something deeper? What would happen if you started asking yourself why you do what you do? Why do I eat what I eat? Why do I go where I go? Finally, I had to reduce sugar, not just in my diet, but in my life. Sugar was my comfort. It was my go-to when things felt overwhelming, but it was also my crutch. And it was time to let go. What's your sugar? What's the thing you turn to for comfort, even though you know it's holding you back? What would your life look like if you started replacing it with something healthier, something that truly nourishes you? What would happen? But here's the thing. These changes weren't just physical. They required a complete frame shift, a complete change of mind, a complete change in my heart. For years, I saw myself as a victim of circumstance. I blamed my genetics, my stress, my life situation. But that day in the rapids, I realized I had a choice. I could continue to see myself as a victim, or I could start seeing myself as a survivor, as someone who could actually, actively shape my life. What about you? How do you see yourself? Are you the victim of your circumstances? Or are you the author of your story? What would change if you started seeing challenges as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles to be avoided? This mindset shift was critical. It allowed me to see connections between my physical health, my mental health, and my emotional well being. It's all connected. And when you start to shift, when I started to shift my perspective, everything changed. What would happen if you reframed your challenges? If you stopped seeing them as obstacles, but as opportunities to learn and to grow? How would your life be different? Reversing my diabetes. Yeah, you've seen it. You've watched me. You've watched my weight go down. You've watched me here in this space share with you my A1C down to 5.8. You've seen the changes. It wasn't just about the physical changes. It was about letting go of what was holding me back, embracing a new way of thinking, and committing to the journey every single day. But this isn't just my story. It's your story too. You have the power to transform your life. You have the power to let go of whatever's holding you back and to step into the life you've always wanted. So I ask you, what's your next step? What one thing can you let go of today to move closer to the life you want? What's one change you can make right now to start your journey? Remember, sometimes we must let go to move forward, trusting that the journey will lead us to a better, healthier place. And so my journey of 1 year to reverse my diabetes started 25 years ago. And just as I say, or as I have on my back of my cup, I am now becoming the person I thought I would be 20 years ago. Oh, yeah. So that is the crux of New Year, New You. That is the catalyst. That is the space from which New Year, New You comes. And it expands, it infuses, it gets better as you incorporate it into your life. As you look at the things that are going on, we're talking about diabetes, we're talking about reversing diabetes, but ultimately this can be applied to every area of your life. If you master it here, if you master it in this space, then all the other spaces get better. All the other relationships, all of the other challenges become opportunities for learning. And I can't wait to see what happens when your journey for 1 year takes flight. Amazing, amazing. Awesome, awesome. I love that. So that y'all is the place where New Year, New You comes from. And all the things that we've been learning, all the things that we are doing are with the idea that there is ultimate power, there is ultimate ability at our fingertips, that we have the ability to grasp and to access that. And we access it through the Triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, let's take a look at some numbers. And you guys have seen. Well, let's hop over and let's see if my Dexcom has come up. Let's see. Let's look at this one. So of course that's my Libre, and here is my Dexcom. So 111 is what my Dexcom is saying. Okay. So 111. And let's hop over and let's take a look at my report. So here you'll see, let's hop over, let's do this one. Boom, there you go. So here's my report, and this is my blood sugar for the last 14 days, 158. Actually, before I do that, let me hop back over and just say hello again to some folks. Of course, Grace says hello, Dr. Woode. A big congratulations. Jennifer says howdy all, and Grace says hello again, Jennifer. So glad that you guys are there. And let's hop over and see. For all of you who I'm seeing over there on Instagram, thank you for coming through. And all the other social media platforms that you are on. Okay? All right. So let's hop over and let's take a look again at my blood sugar. This is my report. And you'll see there for the last 14 days, right, average blood sugar of 158. And let me get my mouse over so you, okay, here we are. So 158. And my average, so if I go to 90 days, so that's 14 days, go to 90 days, this is probably going to be like 123 probably, or 127, okay? It says that if I continue these numbers, then my glucose management indicator is 6.3, meaning that if I were to get an A1C, it would approximate that. So 6.3, which is actually pretty good. Now that's a little higher than it was the 5.8 that we had, 2 months ago. I'm in range 86% of the time. Yay. And let's get rid of that. If I look at my daily graphs, I remember we're a little over 21 hours, maybe. I should keep saying maybe, but 21 hours. And you'll see, so last night, let me see, do I have that? I wasn't planning to show that, but hey, well, let's do it. Last night, I went to a baseball game with my team and some folks, some friends. And before the game, let's see, let's do this one. So before the game, this is what I ate. So that's a taco bowl. Got some meat in there. And then, of course, all the toppings. Okay. Now, there is some rice in there, but I didn't put anything else. So this is all, think of a typical burrito bowl. Okay. And then, see if I could find one of these. Come on. So then we went, and of course we sat, we watched the game, and I tried doing a. Let's do this one. I tried doing a recording while I was there, but of course I didn't have my mic, and right, so I was trying to do that while I was there. So we'll see. It didn't come out quite as I wanted, but I was going to share that with you guys that we were at the game. And let's see. So here's the game. Okay, so we were all sitting out there, having a good time. And so we have the Trash Pandas, right? Trash Pandas are who, that's our team here in Huntsville. So there we go. Okay. So I stopped eating. So we got home probably maybe 10. And of course my wife sent me a text. She said, hey, because our son has homework, and of course he had school today, and so we were out late. And so anyways, came home, and what you see here is the result of that taco bowl. Okay. And then right here about 10 a.m. was when we dropped below 180. And this is all fasting related, y'all, right? So say we stopped eating, and that's why I kept saying 21 hours. So right around maybe 11:30 or so, right, was when we stopped eating. And so you'll see over the course of that time, it took a while for that to come down, but it came down below 180. And then all of this that you're seeing, actually all of that actually is fasting. All right, so stop eating. And as you know, the first, so this is midnight. So the first 6 hours, right, we're the post-absorptive state. So the body's now breaking down um, and absorbing the food. And then the next phase is where the body is using it up. All right, look at that. All right, isn't that beautiful? And then, so that's 0 to 6 hours and 6 to 12 hours, right? So we went from whatever the highest here is, maybe 240. This one's probably 248. And then right at 12 hours, we're down to 150, 160. And then let's go to 18 hours. So 18 hours would put us right here at 6 o'clock. That's 119 is the blood sugar. And then as we move 18, 20, 21 hours now in the one teens. And then if I go over and look at my Dexcom right now, it says 112. Okay. If I change over to, this is my Libre, and you know the Libre and the Dexcom, or not just the Libre and the Dexcom, but Libre, let me back up. So all monitors can be different from each other. And you'll see here, this one says 95, it says 112. And usually I tell people that they can be 20% different. All right, they can be 20% different, and that is in keeping with that. So, so what do you think? What do you think my A1C, not A1C, but what do you think my ketones are going to be? So let's go ahead over and let's look at that really quickly. Let's see. Let's grab. I'm gonna open up my Keto Mojo app. Let's grab that one, and then over here I'm gonna change over. Here's my Keto Mojo. Take that strip out. Pop that one up. And actually, let's do it this way. So here's my Keto Mojo, and in order to see what my most recent ketone is, we're gonna have to turn this on, and then go ahead and sync this. And if you think go ahead and pop those in the chat. Pop that in the chat. So to pull that over, and boom. So okay, so blood sugar of 112 is what this was, if you remember. And then my ketones are 0.1. So in terms of ketones, remember, less than 0.5 is considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 is considered nutritional ketosis. And then above 1.5 is considered therapeutic ketosis. So as we're trying to maintain ketosis, right, whether you're in a ketogenic diet or whether you're fasting for fat burning or fasting for any metabolic improvement, then you want ketones that are 0.5 or higher, right? That puts you in the space where the body is now burning fat, converting that to ketones, and using that for energy, okay? So we'll have on Friday, come back, we'll do a review of fasting in mass, if you will. We'll go through each of the phases, how to prepare, how to break the fast, and so forth. But in terms of just being in the fast, if we are using fasting as a tool for metabolic improvement, then we want our ketones to be 0.5 or higher, okay? If you're type 1, there's a whole other conversation we would need to have. So make sure, as always, in everything that we do, make sure you're checking with your healthcare provider. If we actually look at the graph for the ketone and for the glucose, that turquoise line that you see there, the dotted turquoise line, that is blood. Those are blood ketones, and then of course the tan line, those are blood sugars. So as I've eaten, right? So we started low, and that was when we were breaking the fast last week. As I've eaten, the blood sugars of course went up, and when the blood sugars go up, your body has to produce insulin. And when insulin comes out, the ketones actually go down, because insulin and ketones can't be in the same space, right? It's kind of like matter and antimatter. Or I always say, if you remember those those movies, those sci-fi movies where they say, if you ever go back in time, make sure you don't interact with yourself because that causes all kinds of paradoxes and so forth. So same idea here. If insulin is there, then the ketones will go away. And so that's what you see looking at that graph. As I've started eating, my blood sugar went up, blood sugar goes up, insulin comes out, and ketones begin to drop. Okay? So that is the process that happens. All right. So let's go over and let's talk a little bit about where we've been. And as I've shared with you the New Year, New You process as we've been walking through, remember there are several tools that we've learned. And we've learned, of course, the tools of the 5 whys. Coming up with your why. And we'll go through the challenges here in just a minute. The 5 whys. What is the reason for you wanting to be healthy? Is it a family thing that you want? You guys have been married and finally you're getting ready to retire and you want to be able to travel and do all the things you guys said you were going to do years ago. You have a daughter, a son, a nephew, a cousin, a grandchild who's getting ready to get married, and you want to be healthy for them. You have a surgery or some procedure that your doctor says we can't do it yet. We can't do it now because your health is not where it needs to be. What is your why? Maybe you just want to be healthy so you can remain healthy and stay around for longer. What's your why? You've put all this time in and working, and now that you're ready to retire, you want to be healthy so you can enjoy it. What is your why? The why is important because the why is what will push you when things get rough, and they will get rough. There are going to be times where you won't care. There are going to be times when you're going to be tired of blood sugars and food and thinking about it. What is going to give you the wind beneath your sail is going to be your why. So that's one of the tools that we learned. Then we learned fasting, right? And so what we do here on the channel on these fasting days is talking about how to fast successfully. It's a whole conversation we can have about that. The HEAT model, right? Habits, emotions, access, and taste, right? Those are the triggers that will push us to break our fast, to get off of our eating plan, and it will derail us if we're not careful, right? The model, that's a model that we learned. Emotional intelligence, being mindful. In my discussion a little while ago, I talked about being mindful, being able to see where I am, to be able to think about how I'm feeling and what are the things that are pushing me to eat, to buffer, to be in a space that I know can be detrimental, but yet in that space anyway. Being emotionally intelligent. Emotional intelligence, the ability to know where you are emotionally, where other people are in relation to you, and to use that for your benefit. And then, of course, medication management. We talked about medications we probably should be on or be off, or having that conversation with your physician. And remember that all the things that we are doing, as I just said a moment ago, is with the idea that we have unlimited ability. We have unlimited potential at our fingertips. We have within us the power. We have within us the wherewithal to chart our destiny. There are things that we've done in the past. There are choices that we've made. There are conditions. There are consequences of things that we've done in the past. But that's the past. We now have the ability to make change going into the future. And we make those changes by harnessing the triple E formula for success. That's we educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows that we do, with the blogs, with the podcast. All of that is with the information in the intention of giving you a mindset change. Remember, in my story, it wasn't until I changed my mindset that things got better. It wasn't until there was a frame shift that things got better. It wasn't until I let go that things got better. But as long as I stayed where I was, I could not succeed. And the interesting thing is that I didn't know where the rapids were going to take me. And sometimes we don't know when we let go what's going to happen. But we know we can't stay in the position where we were or where we are. I couldn't stay under the raft because I couldn't breathe. I was suffocating. I didn't know where the rapids were going, but I knew in the space I was, I couldn't be there. And so letting go. It takes a change in our mindset. It takes a frame shift for us to be able to make those decisions. So we educate and we empower. We empower with the tools that we learn, the things that you're learning here on the show, right? The tools that we just went through. And every month we have a new challenge. And the challenges are there to help you apply the things that we're learning. We figured out what our why is. What is the reason? What is the catalyst? What's the thing that's going to help me be successful on those tough days? What's my reason for doing this? And then fasting, working your way up to be able to fast once a week. We are challenging you. We have challenged you. We did challenge you to go to 24 hours. Now, we've had people in our community that have gone to 26, 24, 36, 48, 72, 96 hours. Okay. Sometimes because your metabolic disease is so intense that you've got to be doing longer, more intense fasting. But the goal is to start with one 24-hour period once a week. And then the heat model, the triggers, those things that will push us to get off of our eating plan, the habits, the emotions, the access and taste, reasons for us to eat. We eat not because we're hungry, but we eat because of habit. We eat because of those patterns. We eat because of those social cues. We eat because it's the movies and we're going to eat popcorn. We eat because we get together with friends and we're going to drink coffee and eat bagels or eat a muffin. We eat because it's breakfast time. And during breakfast we eat. We're not hungry, but I'm going to have some breakfast cereal. I'm going to have some toast. I'm going to have some orange juice, right? The whole thing. We eat because of those patterns, those behaviors. We eat because of habits. And then we eat because of emotions. Emotions, this is kind of like a roller coaster. And as the roller coaster goes up, when it gets to the top, it doesn't matter what you do when you're at the top. You can yell and scream and jump and whatever, but it's coming down that car is coming down the other side. And often that's what happens with our emotions. We allow the emotions to get built up so much that it pushes through, it breaks through, it crashes through our decisions to not eat a certain thing, to eat a certain way, to be in a fasting space. When those emotions get too high, they come down. Whether we're happy, sad, bored, tired, frustrated, glad, whatever it is, those emotions will push through our decisions. And then we eat because of access. We eat because there are things just around us. You weren't hungry when you passed by the kitchen, but you saw that bowl with the fruits. You saw that bowl with the candy. You saw that pot of whatever, and you ate it, not because you were hungry, but because it was just there. I remember we went on our camping trip and we came back and we had been unpacking and putting stuff away. And so I'm standing there and I'm not hungry, right? But someone next to me opened a bag or a box or something, and within the bag were chips, bags of chips, small chips that we were supposed to be putting up. Right, and some candy and cookie. And I walked over and I grabbed two. I'm not hungry, but it was there. You guys know my story about nuts, right? Almonds and cashews. I can't bring them in here because if I do, it's going to be on. We eat because habits. We eat because of emotions. We eat because of access. And then we eat because of taste. The perfect combination of fat, sugar, and salt. The bliss point. That point at which when you eat something, you're like, that is so good. I just can't have one of these. Let me get some more. That is what the manufacturers are hoping. But remember, we're never chasing food. That taste, we're chasing what the food does for us. That space that it puts us in, that calm, the anxiety that it brings down. We remember that time when we went to that place and we ate that thing and we felt that way. I tell the story about me and going to New York. I grew up in Brooklyn. And so hot dogs, pizza, and Chinese food. Those are my three things. And I couldn't figure out why do I love those things so much. But it all relates to my dad. That's what my dad used to buy for us. Hot dogs, pizza, and Chinese food. And so whenever I ate them, it took me back to that connection. It wasn't the food, but what the food did for me. So the heat model. And then we talked about being able to construct a meal, and the prototypic meal, the meal that I want you to be using, the goal for your meal when you're thinking about cooking, when you're thinking about eating, is food that has that's whole foods, minimized processing, no added sugar, some starchy vegetables, you'll see that there, healthy fats and lean protein, something that's tasty, and you want something that's appropriate portion size. Yeah, because remember, you can eat healthy stuff and eat so much that it derails. Oh yeah. I'm a witness. And then we want you to find someone to mentor in the new year, new you process. Don't just keep this for yourself, right? You can use this. There are over 1 billion people on the planet, and you can be a voice for change in your community, at your church, at your job, in your doctor's office, wherever you find yourself. Say to someone, hey, I got something that I think will benefit us, that will benefit you. Let's do it together. And don't just tell people and then leave them alone and come back in 5 months. Walk along with them. Be an accountability partner, right? Find someone to mentor. And then make sure you're getting checked. Make sure you're following up with your doctor, with your physician, your healthcare team. There are certain things that you need to have checked even as you are improving your metabolic health. Make sure you're getting those done. So one of the challenges was make sure that you get your labs done. And then, right, to tie it together, exercising. Adding some physical activity to your regimen. We've been talking about food, we've been talking about emotions, we've been talking about planning, but exercise is so important in the process. Make sure you are adding exercise to your regimen. So the challenge was to add an exercise routine to your regimen. Make sure you're doing that 2 to 3 times a week. And then our next challenge was to go for 1 week where you don't have any added sugar in your meals, in your food. No added sugar. Your food has either natural or added sugar. Natural sugar, yeah, not an issue right now, but no added sugar. That's one of the challenges. And all of these are with the intention of giving you opportunities to apply the things that we're learning. Okay, apply the things that we're learning. So for our call to action, 1, join the challenges. Don't let them just sit on the shelf. Get in there, jump in, and do them. Be a part of it. When you come, share your story. That's like we have community members. They're telling us their A1Cs are improving, their weight's getting better. They're coming off of diabetes medications. They're coming off of other medications. All of that, when we hear that, we know that we can do it. If you can do it, then I can do it. And when we see places where you are challenged, then we can rally around you, we can support you, and we all know that we're not by ourselves. And then share the story. Invite a friend. Let them know that there's this space where they can come, where they can learn to be healthy, and they can make significant inroads in their metabolic disease. And then remember our triple E, not the triple E, but our pillars for success for reversing diabetes. Number 1, decrease insulin. Number 2, suppress appetite. And number 3, reduce sugar. That's it. That's what we do here on the channel. Hey, as always, I'm happy to be in the space with you. I love when we come through, when we're able to spend time together and learn and work together. So 25 years in the making, my 1-year journey to reverse diabetes. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, new year, new you. We'll see you later this week on our check-ins, and then Sunday morning at 6 a.m. Central for This Week in Review. Good night, everybody.